I just want you to know, we live and breathe this every day. We discuss this issue upstate every day when we're in Albany. We're bringing other colleagues that this doesn't affect, but they see this as an unfair tax. And like every day we talk about this issue. The other thing is the state controller's office. People will say that the audit would cost too much money. You have a state controller. These people are good at their jobs. We already pay them. There's no reason they can't come in and do a forensic audit. So that's one of the things we have to push for as we go forward here. But the other thing that I want to bring up is Lee talked about. They just keep hitting us over and over again. If you have a cell phone, you're paying this tax. If you have a car, you're paying this tax. A whole lot oil, I believe, your property taxes you're paying. Your school taxes you're paying. We actually have a line in the budget for the schools to pay the MTA tax. Your non-for-profits are paying an MTA tax. These are organizations that go out, private citizens, go out there, raise money for causes to help people throughout the state. Now, the beginning of their fundraising efforts all go to pay this tax. Okay, it's overburdensome. We can no longer afford this. All I can say is we're going to do everything in our power. We're going to try to bring everybody to the table that we can. And it's going to be hard to repeal, but we're determined to get that done for you and for us and for our children. Because this will, make it unaffordable for my kids to live here on Long Island. So, Lee, thank you.
Next, we have 3 representatives of local government to talk about the impact of the MTA payroll tax on their jobs. First, I'd like to introduce Councilman Tim Mazie from Brookhaven.
Thank you very much. Thanks for inviting me here today. And I think the main reason you asked me to come down here is to really let people know how it not only affects you in the ways that have already been described, but it's affecting your town taxes. Because as all local governments right now, we're hurting. It's very difficult to meet our budgets. We're down to the bone. The town of Brookhaven has spent almost $300,000 in MTA taxes. We can't afford that. I'm sure my ISIL colleagues will tell you exactly what they're paying, but it's incredible. We just cannot afford it any longer. So I applaud what Senator Zeldin is doing in Albany, along with his colleagues in the Assembly. I pray to God that you're successful, because we can't wait any longer. So, Lee, thank you very much.
Next, from the town of Islip, we have Councilman Steve Flotter.
In the town of Islip, the same thing. In the general fund alone, we have different funds. The general fund alone is about $150,000. That's about 3 positions that we need to maybe fill our potholes that we cannot fill anymore. People had to lose their jobs and be laid off. And again, on the town, we don't want to raise taxes, and we didn't last year. But again, we had to get rid of employees just to pay for the MTA tax, which is your basic general services here. And again, it also hits into other things in our lives, such as health care. When you go to the doctor, and those doctor's offices, those hospitals are paying for the MTA tax. So when you look at when your premium goes so much up on your medical insurance, a piece of that is the MTA tax besides other taxes. Thank you for what you do.
Also from the town of Islip, we have Councilwoman Trish Bergen.
I have to say, one of the reasons, and I have told this to Senator Zeldin several times, one of the reasons why I left TV and got into this is because we need to have a voice. I want to have a voice, and I want all of you to have a voice. 2 years ago, we had lawmakers in who literally threw Long Islanders under the MTA payroll bus. And I am so happy that Lee Zeldin is in office right now. About lobbying our lawmakers, what we really need to recognize is that some of the folks who made these decisions, some aren't around anymore, but some of them actually represent New York City. And we need to lobby those folks because they're the ones who are benefiting the most from this. You buy a subway token, you're buzzing around Manhattan for $2, and meanwhile out here on Long Island we have companies that don't even utilize the trains and the subways, but we're footing the bill for it. So we need to lobby everybody, not just our local lawmakers, but the folks who represent New York City folks as well. So we need to start picking up the phone and making these phone calls and making a difference. Thank you, Senator Zeldin.
Our next speaker is going to be one of our most important partners of this process from outside elected office. He runs an organization named Tax Relief Now. He had an event on March 29th that had hundreds of people attending from all across the Long Island, and he's done his homework with the MTA, and we're glad to have him as a partner. His name is Bill Schoolman.
Good afternoon. It was 400 people, standing room only, and a lot of the people that are here now were at that meeting. Good afternoon. My name is Bill Schoolman. I'm the founder of Tax Relief Now, and I'd like to quickly introduce you to two of my partners in this event. Karen Pope is our executive director. Many of you know her. And also with me here today, a very important person, Joe Campolo, our general counsel. He is the author of the lawsuit to have the MTA payroll tax annulled. He did all the hard work. As many of you have heard me say in the past, I am an angry taxpayer. Today, we're here to celebrate the beginning of a tax revolution, a return to basic principles where each taxpayer has a vote and each vote actually matters. This is what Tax Relief Now is all about. Our mission is to identify, educate, and legally challenge any tax that is unnecessarily imposed upon New York taxpayers. And that's why our challenge of the MTA payroll tax is so critical and why all of your support is needed. If we as New York State taxpayers cannot win this fight, which is, by the way, a slam dunk, then we as taxpayers have no shot at ever being heard on such difficult challenges we have ahead of us, such as school taxes, pension reform, and a non-existent real estate market. The reason I say this is a slam dunk is because the tax was not only irrefutably unconstitutional, but it was also completely unnecessary. For 45 years, the MTA, which I have affectionately referred to as Bloaty, the $56 billion octopus without a brain, they gobble up everything it touches. They have been the schoolyard bully, taking taxpayers' lunch money and using it to purchase non-essential, non-transportation related assets. When the MTA payroll tax was imposed, the MTA had literally billions of dollars in non-essential, non-transportation related capital assets, and in addition to that, they had an additional $3.7 billion in liquid investments, of which $1.7 billion were completely unrestricted. What does that tell you? The payroll tax was completely unnecessary. They just want their cake and eat it too. The MTA could have and should have been forced to sell and use those assets before the decision was made to pick the taxpayers' pockets. It should have also been forced to use and sell these assets before it increased fares on the Long Island Railroad, fares for the buses, the bridges, the tunnels, and then cut much-needed service for Long Island riders. But it wasn't done. All involved chose to impose a tax rather than implement these simple options. And the icing on the cake was that Albany was such a rush to impose this tax that it did it in an unconstitutional manner. These irresponsible actions should not be permitted to stand now, should never, ever be tolerated again. Here are 7 projects Tax Relief Now is doing on behalf of its supporters, and we are working completely in concert with Senator Zeldin. So we're all on the same page. First point, We enacted the first lawsuit to challenge the unconstitutional law, which was copied word for word by 10 municipalities and school districts. We do educational seminars concerning the fiscal irresponsibility of the MTA. To date, I've already done over 70 of these seminars, and I'll continue to do at least 2 to 3 each week. Number 3, we're calling for the privatization of portions of the MTA, which will promote efficiency and give much needed jobs to the private sector. Number 4, we're calling on the MTA to immediately begin to liquidate all non-essential assets rather than continue to cut services. 5, we are calling on New York State Senate to appoint a nonpartisan commission composed of at least half business people to explore privatization and the sale of the non-essential assets. Number 6, this is a new one. If you've read the papers, what a disgrace the Long Island Railroad is and what a disgrace Helena Williams is. We are calling on all Long Island senators and assemblymen to immediately demand that Helena Williams, president of Long Island Railroad, be fired immediately. If you've read the news, the Long Island Railroad is the most expensive railroad in the United States by a ratio of almost 3 to 1. Out of 10 railroads analyzed, compared to the best railroad, their costs were close to 4 times what the best railroad was. And we put up with it and pay for it every single day. And last, number 7, we're calling for a complete repeal of this unnecessary tax immediately and unconditionally. We feel this agenda will not only help relieve the incredible tax burden imposed upon New York citizens, but it will also put much-needed cash and jobs back into the Long Island economy. We feel it's time for Albany to start to make good business decisions, and we're willing to work with any and every elected official to help bring New York back to the innovative economic powerhouse it once was. So, on behalf of Tax Relief Now and Senator Zeldin, we look forward to your continued support. Thank you. By the way, just one other thing. Everybody should know this, how outrageous. The average school district pays $175,000 a year in MTA payroll tax. Think of all the educational cuts going on. There were 2, Hopog School District, over $220,000. How about the tolls? Did you ever notice that the toll for the Throgsneck Bridge is $13 round trip, yet if you take the Tappan Zee Bridge, it's $5 round trip, and the George Washington Bridge is $4 round trip? Why? Because that money is being used to support the corrupt MTA. And last year, all New York State taxpayers subsidized the MTA $10 billion on top of the fares that they collect. That's outrageous. Thank you.